My Cousin Noelle. So here is something that I've been saving for a really long time. Yes, we have Asta in Black Clover, the Easter egg because of me in the 4-leaf clover. And you know what's crazy about Asta and the reason why we have Black Clover Noelle is all due to my older cousin Noelle. And Noelle is literally one of my favorite cousins, and literally the hardest one of all. Literally, what she was the stupidest one, but I mean the good stupid, not the bad stupid. But literally, that's why they literally said stupid star in the anime. So I love Noelle. She was literally one of my favorite influences in life. So here's how it happened. So basically, Noelle is my mother's sister's daughter, and she was literally the older sister of my cousin India. And you know, so many people say you have a weird ass name, like why do we have a generic name like fucking Chris or David or some shit like that? So basically it was funny because people was all like, wait, I never heard of a black girl named Asia. I'm like, well, I have a cousin named India. I used to have a neighbor named Jamaica. Literally, I used to have an Asian neighbor named Jamaica. It was hella funny. So what happened was this is basically me and Noelle were literally always doing stuff together. We're always like making shit. There's this one day when we were making concoctions where literally I would make soda and fucking milk and I'd do all this shit. She's like, this is weird. I want to try this shit. She would always be retarded. But she would always have weird, always have the classical shit ever. But literally what happened was she got literally so much of radio, so she became everyone's favorite member of the family. So here's what happened. So I want to go into the bright side before I get into the bad side about what happened to Noelle over time and what happens to a lot of people, especially her generation. But her generation was really the best where it comes to R&B and where it comes to rap. So she's older than my brother, but she comes from a generation where R&B was literally a little bit more dominant than rap. But my brother was doing shit in school when Eminem was in his prime. So my cousin comes from the prime of music in general, where all R&B artists were still alive. But my brother was literally when gangster rap took over is when my brother was going into high school. But that's when hip hop took over gangster rap. So it was really crazy dynamic. So they're looking at me literally doing the craziest shit. So I had a lot of fun times in the world. I've had literally more good times than bad times with Noelle. The same with my older brother, and it was so fucking crazy because there was this one day when I was in elementary school when I finally learned where odd and even numbers are, and I just had this autistic habit. I'm like, my favorite number is 2. No, my favorite number is 5. I'm like, wait, I can't do this. Like, this is not. I kept on changing my opinion over and over again. And so when I was younger, like, I would have this addiction. Like, I'm not gonna do that if it's not an even number. Literally, because I just learned it in elementary school. So when we went to the amusement park and we started going on the Ferris wheel, not the Ferris wheel, but that one wheel where we're all part of the swings and shit. What happened was this? I'm like, no, don't go with this one. Go on the next one. He's like, why? Because that's not an even number. No, literally, every time we run the swings all the time, I'm like, what is up with you with even numbers? They know how they have numbers in the swings and shit. Literally, I would not go on the swing unless it was an even number. It was crazy. I was literally the craziest person in shit. She didn't understand anything that I was doing, but she always appreciated me because I was very, very, very nice and very crazy. Her little sister drove me crazy, and it was so fucking crazy because the entire time it shows why, you know, like, my family had a good prime, but the prime, I'm sorry to say, I will not get too into the dark right now, but you have to understand that there was a huge hint that we couldn't keep this up as a family forever, because here's what happened. There was one day when me, Noelle, and my older brother Chris literally sitting back watching ABC Family, watching Kim Possible, watching literally Fillmore, watching all the good shit and all the good reality shows that came on at the time, and we were in love. Like, usually this is the shit, like, literally. And that was the time where everybody could agree on everything. And my older cousin was obsessed with Sister. She was obsessed with Tia and Tamara Bowery. She literally showed me the raw audio of them making commentary, like, hey, this is Tia and Tamara Bowery. And literally, you know, back when they used to have the music players with all the crazy special effects where you literally couldn't see any video, but literally that made up for everything. Where literally it was just nothing but graphics, literally retro shit going in and out, literally, and all you hear is, hey, it's TNT Mario. I'm literally so crazy. We love this. She's like, you want to see this shit? I'm like, dude, she got exclusive audio of the sisters. Literally, my cousin was a Disney fanatic. She loved this. She was obsessed with Orlando Bloom. She was obsessed with Pirates of the Caribbean. She was like, oh, he cute. He was nasty as fuck. My older cousin of our generation. She would stay that way, but there was a problem. We couldn't always have the good times that we could have had in the past, literally, when we literally just sat in front of each other, literally, just growing up, watching ABC Family. Literally, everybody agreeing that Kim Possible was the motherfucking shit. Literally, we couldn't have those good times forever. I'm gonna tell you why. So here's what happened. Noelle was always a saint, but she had a pretty horrible backstory. What happened was, she was a popular kid in high school, but they betrayed her. And I realized why popular people were full of shit, so she kept her mouth shut when I was going through shit in high school, because what it was is, I finally got popular for a certain day at time, and so you know what happens when you become popular, right? My cousin Noelle was always pretty. She was very, intelligent and pretty, and she loved to read books. But the problem with this was this, when you get popular, here's what happens. They're gonna praise you for a certain amount of time, and then they're gonna bring you down once they realize that you have the same tools. And it happens to Ashley, it can't won't cope. It happens to me. It happens to everybody who has looks and brains that literally have a good inside and a good outside. What happens is most people just have an outside, and they don't really have a good inside. Noelle had both, and so did I. So literally what happened was this: they hyped her up to be popular, and they tore her down. They did the same thing with me at Fanime. They did a whole lot when I finally achieved popularity. So you are doing good, you're doing fantastic, and then they go taking it back once I start using the same tools, and they're like, oh, you're not doing good enough. And that happens every fucking time you become popular. That happens every time you achieve something. And she cried to me one time like, I trusted them so much and they literally betrayed me. That happens when you become popular. This is why I don't trust people. She can barely graduate, but here's the thing, my cousin went through a lot of shit, and it made her cry knowing what I was doing. But you know what? She can only literally do so much. And the great thing about Noelle and why I kept on being cool with her is because she treats people the way she wants to be treated. But if you put her at a disadvantage, this is what you gotta learn about game people. When you put somebody at a disadvantage, they are not going to agree with you anyway, shape, or form. Like, say if she's with somebody that's in a higher position of power, knowing that they're wrong, she still has to agree with them because they have more power in this situation. That's not being fake. That's looking out for your own survival. That is literally a universal tool. That's why you have to make sure that you gain power in life. That's why you have to make sure that you literally gain the best of the situation, and you also use the tools correctly, because a lot of people get positions of power and they abuse their positions of power. When you understand that, you stop holding grudges against people, and you literally learn how to meet people halfway to the point where you don't put yourself at risk, but you understand the situation. That's gonna help you get a whole lot more girls when you stop being admirable and stop expecting everything to be perfect. Like, oh, he would never do that. Oh, this and that. Situations change people. When you do a little bit evil where a foundation of good is literally when you learn how to use self-defense. You can't be a doormat, but you also can't be manipulated either. Once you get the same position of power and people come begging you back, like the hottest girl in high school that used to reject you, when you finally get your record deal, are you finally gonna be like, yo, what happened to all this time? Depending on how fine she is, you might as well just fuck her. You might as well literally just take advantage of your fame and stop holding a grudge, and literally just enjoy good sex instead of literally having everything be about morals, have everything be about your principles. Stop believing in that admirable shit when you know that sometimes you have to be cruel to adapt to this world. This world isn't cruel. You just have to know when and when not to use those tools. That helps you a whole lot in life. Being mean when you need to, when you're trying to tell off somebody who's gonna manipulate you, especially when they keep on trying to manipulate you, what you have to do is you have to trick them, and you have to literally get ahead of them. You have to literally use their own skill against them. Don't be deceiving. Just put yourself in the same position of power and literally have your cake and eat it too. Because when you hold a grudge, it's going to be way more detrimental in order for you to literally just say, yo, that's past. Even though you rejected me in high school, that's past. I can enjoy who you are now as a person. Now that you finally admitted that you're wrong and you're finally able to submit to me, it's going to be better than being on that movie shit. Oh, you weren't there all this time. Bye-bye. Doesn't that sound like a dick? Now, if they try to manipulate you, that's a different thing. If they try to use your fame against you, that's a different thing. But if they come at you and they admit they're wrong, of course you can enjoy them as people. Only a fool will make an enemy rather than make a friend. And how this ties into Noelle is literally this. Whenever shit got out of hand in my family, of course she had to take my family side, not just because of the elders, but because she needed my grandma to help her rent sometimes. She needed to move in with my grandma multiple times. She failed at being independent sometimes, but that's literally not her fault 100%. I know other people who could have gotten away with what Noelle did when she got kicked out of her independent household. But whenever I needed to sit down and smoke with Noelle, of course she was cool with me. Of course we just have fun. But in order for us to understand that as people, that's why you don't hold grudges. That's why you have to accept situations as they are instead of trying to manipulate situations all the time. So Noelle kept on getting into chaos on top of chaos on top of chaos. Literally having to get my family's help while I'm going through high school, while I'm making it uncomfortable for her to live. Literally, as I'm becoming a teenager, the AMC family was not there anymore. Literally, we could not rely on Shigo being the motherfucking shit anymore. We couldn't rely on those things. Life wasn't sweet life with Zack and Cody anymore. And we had to accept that. We had to grow up, literally. Her little sister's getting an attitude by going to public school and being popular. And I know why, but the complex thing came later. And I realized how easier girls have it in society. Noelle on the outside has a pussy pass, but on the inside, she has no pussy pass. And I know that because she's intelligent. And she is very witty and literally this and that. And she is so aware of who she is as a person that it's not even funny. And that is literally the tragic thing, is that a lot of people got the world fucked up thinking that she's stereotypical, saying that she's this and that, when in actuality she comes from the older generation where they always have their guard up no matter what situation there is. This was hella fucking funny. Okay, so here's the thing. So there was this one time where I had a friend named Giovanni that came over. It was when I got off an anime convention with Peter and Lily. I didn't want to smoke with him. He's like, bro, you know I can find some weed. I'm like, man, I don't trust people. There was this one time with this guy Lily. I spoke to him and he stole my shit, and he literally, so he tried to tell me, yo, this and that. I'm not trying to rob you. I'm not trying to do this and that. So I was cool with him, and I tried talking to him about Dragon Ball Z. So here's what happened. So I invite Giovanni over and I show him a One Piece AMV. He's like, what the fuck? This is hella dope. They have a cartoon with an afro with a skeleton. Literally the craziest shit I have ever heard, I have ever seen. So Giovanni was really cool, and he told me to stay off the streets, and he told me what I'm doing is different and that it's about to blow up. And Giovanni was 100% correct. Now, I'm going into detail of when I actually literally lost contact with Giovanni, and that's a very important video that you have to understand, because there's a deeper meaning to that. Because here's what happened. There was one time where I had Giovanni over, and literally, he's like, what, that's your cousin? And so literally, my cousin gave me a speech when I was literally going to share school. I'm like, well, am I cute? She's like, yes, you're cute. It's like, there's no ugly people in our family. So I'm all like, am I the teddy bear cute? And she's like, well, you are the teddy bear cute because you're short. But it was so fucking funny. So literally, so Giovanni comes over, and I literally tell Giovanni, he's like, damn, once we get on the street and we start smoking, he's like, your cousin is fine. I'm like, I know. He's like, what? That's your cousin? I'm like, hold up, there's no ugly people in my family. There was this one time where I was popped in the locking in front of Uncle Jay, and so literally Uncle Jay says the funniest shit, and he's all like, you see that dancing right there? That comes from my side of the family, not your dad's. Noelle is a good example that you can do whatever you want when you become an adult. So basically, she got hooked in the Boondocks when I was in high school. Lily telling me, literally, behind the scenes about the Boondocks, and she was obsessed with the Boondocks to the point where she literally named her dog Huey. To this day, her dog's name is Huey. Noelle is super dope, super everything, you know, but it comes to a point where I just have to say that whole shit about her being a model and her being this and that. This is a joke, Barry. Please do not take this seriously. The anime literally stated, I'm the reason why Asta has green eyes. Yes, that is an Easter egg. So basically, here's the thing about Noelle, and the reason why Noelle has a crush on Asta in the show is just a joke about incest and how we live in somewhere of an incest country. Literally, it's a joke on the street to say that I should fuck my cousin, but I'm not ever going to fuck my cousin, and you got fucked up. I'm the person that will protect my cousin, and that is just a joke. But it is funny, I admit that. And the more true of the origin is that even though it's a joke, she's the Sakura of the show. The only thing that's Noelle about her is her name. So basically, I want you to understand that is a funny joke. I don't want you to be sensitive about that, but I want you to understand the difference between reality and that show. But Noelle is crazy, so Noelle is this. Now, there was this one time while I was over at Noelle's house when literally we started watching Hello Kitty, the Japanese version that just got dubbed, and I was amazed. And so her favorite Disney movie is the Goofy movie, and her favorite Disney character is Goofy. So yes, we are ghetto to the most extreme. I come from a ghetto family, and literally I'm obsessed with anime, so things didn't always work out, but one thing you gotta understand is I love to keep peace. I love to have a good time, and Noelle is that person. If you want to have peace, you want to have a good time, Noelle is always down for a laugh. Noelle is always a cool person, and this is why you must go follow my cousin Noelle, a lady that kills, on Instagram, and she is super cool and she is super fun to get along with. I want you guys to go support my cousin Noelle, and please go watch Black Clover the anime. And yes, she is the reason why we have Noelle in the anime Black Clover. This is Boo Tricks, and I'm out.